Hi readers! Today is June 2nd, and today you are here for chapters 27, 28, and 29. Today we just have one mini lesson, and today we're going to be talking about making connections. So good readers make connections to the text they're reading so that they can better understand the characters, their feelings, and their motivations. So I know you are very used to making connections as you read, but we're going to be taking it a step further today and talking about making really deep connections, okay? So before I go into the different types of connections that you can make, which you already know, this should definitely be a review for you. It's important to note why we make connections to the text as we're reading. When we connect to the text, we better understand characters' feelings, characters' experiences, and then that gives us insight into why they do the things they do when we sometimes put ourselves in their shoes, okay? So the first type of connection that you can make is a text to self connection, and that is exactly what it sounds like. It's when you think to yourself, what does this story remind me of in my own life? Can I relate to any of the characters in this story? Have I ever gone through a similar experience or felt a similar feeling? And basically, those are the types of connections where you are finding something in your own life that's applicable in the story that you're reading. This is the most common type of connection to make. And then a text-to-text connection is exactly what it sounds like as well. It's when you connect the text that you're reading to another story that you have read. So in Crash by Jerry Spinelli, there are tons of text-to-text connections that you can make from Crash to Maniac McGee because they have the same author. They do have a lot of similarities. And finally, the third type of connection that you can make is a text-to-world connection. This is when you think to yourself, what does this remind me of in the real world? How are events in this story similar to things that happen in the world around me? And how is the story different than things that are happening in the world around me? So this is where you can think of social issues such as poverty or homelessness. Remember, we discussed that in Maniac McGee. And then, for example, you might say that bullying is present in Crash by Jerry Spinelli, which is something that happens in the world around you. So I'm going to give you some more examples of these, and text-to-world connections we're going to talk about a little bit more in the next slide. You'll see an example in it. You might make a little bit more sense. Okay, so here's something that's really, really important. There are two types of connections that you can make aside from text-to-world, text-to-self, and text-to-text. You can make a really deep connection and you can make a surface connection. A deep connection is when you really dig deep into the text and your understanding of the story expands by your connection. A surface connection is when you just hit the surface of it. It's not a very meaningful connection and it's not enhancing your understanding of the story. I gave you two examples. A deep connection is as follows. When I was in second grade, I moved to a new school like Shirley did. I remember feeling like everyone ignored me and missing my home. So I can relate to what she's going through. So in this connection, we empathized with a character. We related to their feelings, which helped us better understand the story. A surface connection, Shirley likes the Dodgers and so do I. You kind of just pull that connection out of thin air. It doesn't expand your understanding of the text. It doesn't take your learning to the next level. So we really want to strive for deep connections and we want to stay away from surface connections, okay? And here's just a little visual for you. I want you to think of surface connections and deep connections like an iceberg. So an iceberg that's in the ocean, usually you can just see a little bit of the top of it. A very small amount of an iceberg you can actually see. And that's the surface. Very basic, not so meaningful. And then the deep connection is all of the iceberg that's below the surface and all of that juicy, meaningful thinking. is your deep below the surface iceberg. Does that make sense? I hope that it does. This is a good visual to reference when you're thinking of deep versus surface connections. Okay, so I created a few deep connections for some of the chapters that we have read in Crash so far. So my deep text to self connection is when I was in 6th grade, I considered becoming a vegetarian just like Abby did. The reason that I did this is because I felt badly eating meat because I love animals. Abby mentioned that the reason that she was becoming a vegetarian is for her love for animals as well. So then I expanded and I said, I can understand how Abby was feeling because when she decided that she may want to become a vegetarian, you know, it didn't work out for me, but I'm glad that Abby is standing up for something that she believes in. This tells me that she is a strong character. So within this connection, I empathized with Abby. I said that I understood how she was feeling. I even drew an inference and said, because of what she's doing and because of what I know about her, I'm inferring that she's a really strong character. So this text to self connection is extremely deep. And this is what we're looking for in 5th grade connections, really deep. And my text to text connection was Penn Webb in Crash reminds me of Maniac and Maniac McGee. Penn is a very literal person and takes everything for face value. And then I put in parentheses, if you say you're so hungry you could eat a horse, he believes that you could really eat a horse. And Maniac was very similar. Neither of these characters have street smarts, although Maniac developed them by the end of the book. I wonder if Penn Webb will get more street smart just like Maniac did. So here I compared 2 characters that I felt were very similar. And then I ended up asking a question. Well, since Maniac grew and became more street smart, will Penn Webb do the same? And then finally, my text to world connection. I said, this book displays a lot of bullying, which is something that goes on in the world around me. I know that there are some kids in the world who get bullied just like Penn Webb does. I also know that bullying is not allowed in schools and you can get in a lot of trouble. Since you can get in so much trouble for bullying in the world that we live in today, I wonder why Crash and Mike get away with so much. So here I made a connection to something that's happening in the book, that's happening in the society around me. And then I thought, well, most people don't get away with bullying in school, so I wonder why Mike and Crash do. So these are some of my deep connections. What I really would like for you to do right now is draw this same table that I drew here. And as you are reading, you're not going to write the connections that I have. You're going to leave that part blank. And as you are reading chapters 27, 28, and 29, I want you to make a deep connection for each of the 3 types. Okay? And then once you have done that and listened to chapters 27, 28, and 29, I want you to complete the reading activity where you will share one of your connections. Alrighty, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson and I will see you next time.